There is a completely hidden and forgotten vibrational frequency operating behind the scenes of your conscious mind at this very second. A verbal key of surgical precision that possesses the immediate ability to reconfigure your deep files, dissolve blocks accumulated for years, and alter your physical reality without the slightest muscular effort. The overwhelming majority of people spend their entire existence trying to transform life through brute force, exhausting rushing, and silent despair. They multiply their daily working hours, wage daily battles against anxiety, and cry in the dark of their rooms, begging for a relief that never seems to arrive. Yet, upon opening their eyes the next morning, they find strictly the same problems, the same tight bank account, and the same feeling of helplessness in their chest. The error was never in your worth as a human being, nor in your sincere effort to overcome. The cruel and silent error lies in the fact that you have been trying to force open the lock of existence using the totally wrong method on the wrong plane. Dr. Joseph Murphy dedicated over 4 decades of deep research to demonstrate a truth that the vast majority of humanity ignores. Your subconscious mind does not respond to verbose speeches, desperate prayers, or pleas loaded with terror. It responds solely and exclusively to mental commands condensed into ideas of absolute power that penetrate the deep mind at the moment of least rational resistance. When you try to solve a financial or emotional crisis by shouting, crying, or begging, the dominant feeling in your soul is not one of solution. It is one of pure and simple fear. It is the suffocating feeling that resources will run out, that humiliation is inevitable, and that you are completely helpless. And your subconscious mind, which acts as a mathematical, impersonal, and inflexible law, does not analyze the beautiful words coming out of your mouth. It captures the hidden frequency of your pain and accepts it as a supreme instruction of command. The more you fight against scarcity, using the force of your conscious mind, the more the deep mind interprets that terror and multiplies the reasons for your ruin. It is the devastating law of reversed effort operating silently to perpetuate your captivity. To understand the overwhelming force of this mechanism and how a single word anchored in internal conviction can alter matter, observe the real case of Charles Montgomery in 1951 in the city of Philadelphia. Charles was a 45-year-old accountant who lived haunted by a downward spiral of debts and a diagnosis of chronic insomnia that was destroying his health. Every night, upon lying down in his creaking iron bed, the room was impregnated with the strong smell of medicine and the rhythmic, claustrophobic sound of the wall clock. Charles's heart raced in the dark. His hands trembled upon remembering the collection letters accumulated on his office desk, and a sharp pain in his neck prevented him from resting. He spent hours of the night repeating dozens of complex statements of affirmation, trying to convince himself that he was prosperous and healthy. However, the moment he uttered the words, an internal voice of doubt whispered forcefully that it was all a ridiculous lie. He used conscious force to try to change his life, but slept and woke up immersed in the frequency of disaster, because the subconscious mind is a neutral soil that rejects intellectual friction and welcomes solely the seed of the dominant feeling. Charles's life sank even deeper into lawsuits, financial losses, and an impending nervous breakdown. His long, effort-filled prayers were in reality vehement decrees of exhaustion and lack of faith. The absolute turning point only occurred when Charles gained access to Dr. Joseph Murphy's lectures and understood the tragic mistake he was making. He learned that the subconscious is profoundly impacted by simplicity, and that the repetition of a key word in the state of sleepiness neutralizes any argument of the analytical mind. By discarding long sentences and beginning to whisper in silence a single word loaded with inner meaning for 21 consecutive days before a dormitory, the energy surrounding his life underwent an unprecedented revolution. His deep mind absorbed that idea as a direct order, and in less than a month, an old investment that seemed lost was liquidated with extraordinary profits, clearing all his liabilities and restoring him to perfect health. Diga isso em voz alta, ou repita em silêncio no seu coração. My subconscious accepts my silent command of peace and victory. What took place in Charles Montgomery's journey was not a random miracle granted by divine favor, nor a magical event outside the natural order. It was the mechanical and rigorous application of what we call here on the channel the code of subjective condensation. This exclusive concept reveals a fundamental truth. The simpler, more condensed, and purer the idea you send to your deep mind, the lesser the resistance of your intellect, and the faster the material manifestation in your reality. The vast majority of people make the grave mistake of overloading the subconscious with technical details, rigid deadlines, and demands on how the miracle should happen. They try to teach the supreme mind to do the work that belongs to it alone. By doing so, they activate doubt, anxiety, and rational questioning, creating a vibrational barrier that locks all doors of supply. The subconscious does not need complicated instructions. It needs only that you deliver to it the essence of the desired result in a state of absolute surrender. When you utilize an exact word in silence, without arguing with logic and without trying to force the issue, you bypass the guardians of your conscious mind. It is as if you possessed a master key capable of opening the vaults of infinite intelligence without setting off the alarms of doubt. The word spoken in silence at the right moment acts as a stamp of spiritual authority, sealing your new reality even before it appears to your physical eyes. Your external reality is merely the exact photographic projection of the subjective frequency you cultivate in the temple of your interior. There is no external force punishing you with scarcity or disease. What exists is your own subconscious, executing with mathematical precision the dominant idea you feed in your hours of silence. Diga isso em voz alta, ou repita em silêncio no seu coração. Infinite intelligence carries out my command of absolute prosperity now. If this teaching is resonating in the deepest part of your soul and you wish to continue feeding your mind with pure spiritual truth, subscribe now to the Subconscious Code channel. By subscribing, you connect to a living current of transformation and receive daily the exact keys to take definitive control of your destiny. Reflect with gravity upon the way you have been nourishing your mind in the moments when you are alone. What does your inner voice whisper when the lights go out and the noise of the world fades? If your mind occupies itself with repeating words of fear, limitation, and exhaustion, understand that you are instructing your subconscious to manufacture more pain for your tomorrow. Deactivate the need to fight against circumstances using physical force. Allow the simplicity of the divine word to occupy the space where confusion once reigned. The moment you learn to speak the language of the deep mind, the blocks that seemed insurmountable dissolve into thin air, revealing the abundance and peace that have always been yours by right of inheritance. The hidden mechanics of your deep mind operates under laws of surgical precision, an immutable psychic architecture that Dr. Joseph Murphy dedicated his entire life to decoding and teaching. This law does not bow to human opinions, does not alter because of political crises, and does not depend on your current social condition. It is the law of subconscious command, the eternal principle that your deep mind is incapable of arguing, analyzing, or rejecting absolutely any idea that your conscious mind accepts with emotion and conviction. The great tragedy of humanity is spending life waging a violent battle against material effects. People try to transform their financial reality by exhaustively changing their routine, taking on multiple jobs, accumulating chronic fatigue, and cutting even their most basic needs. They do not realize they are trying to erase the shadow projected on the wall without ever touching the invisible structure generating that shadow. Your subconscious mind is the creative matrix of all forms. It is the psychic mold where the substance of the universe is compacted before manifesting visibly to your senses. To make this truth absolutely unquestionable, Dr. Joseph Murphy resorted to one of the most perfect and enlightening metaphors in deep psychology. Your subconscious mind functions exactly like the black, fertile soil of a garden. While your conscious mind acts as the farmer tasked with selecting and depositing the seeds, the soil possesses no moral discernment. It asks no questions, passes no judgment on the farmer's intentions, and never discriminates against the nature of the plant it will nourish. If the farmer deposits in the earth the seed of a giant oak that will produce shelter, strength, and life for several centuries, the soil welcomes that seed with total submission and mobilizes all the nutrients of the earth to make it germinate on the surface. But if that same farmer deposits in the soil the seed of a poisonous weed loaded with thorns and toxins, the soil will welcome that seed with the exact same mathematical fidelity, using the same hidden energy to raise the poison before the eyes of the world. The overwhelming majority of men and women spend their days fertilizing the soil of the deep mind with seeds of despair, indignation, and terror of scarcity. Upon consuming catastrophic news, participating in conversations about lack of resources, and feeling tightness in their chest before debts accumulating, they are driving seeds of destruction into the living earth of infinite intelligence. And when the inevitable harvest brings more debts, more closed doors, and more reasons to cry, they accuse fate and feel abandoned, without realizing that the subconscious soil merely fulfilled its sacred role of multiplying with perfection the seed delivered to it. Diga isso em voz alta, ou repita em silêncio no seu coração. My deep mind accepts only seeds of peace and opulence. There is a silent and extremely subtle obstacle keeping the lives of millions of people locked in the same spot for years on end. Total ignorance about the way the subconscious receives and executes an order. The deep mind does not respond to memorized phrases, uttered mechanically by a voice trembling with terror and anxiety. It responds solely and exclusively to the subjective feeling accompanying your thought in the silence of your soul. If you spend the entire day repeating statements of wealth, but upon laying your head on the pillow, feel the devastating vibration of uncertainty and fear, your subconscious will completely ignore the beautiful words that came out of your mouth and materialize with surgical precision your feeling of fear. When your conscious desire enters a direct collision course with your deep feeling, the feeling wins 100% of the time. It is the inflexible and relentless law of reversed effort. The more you try to force your mind to believe in a miracle, while your heart vibrates on the frequency of scarcity and despair, the more the deep mind strengthens and consolidates the block. The subconscious does not manifest in your external reality what you say you want. It materializes strictly what you feel to be your deepest truth on the inside. It is for this exact reason that it becomes vital to install in your daily routine what we call here on the channel the code of the single command. This exclusive technique consists of monitoring your consciousness with the untiring vigilance of a sentinel atop the tower. At the exact millisecond, a suggestion of limitation, lack, or terror tries to invade your inner temple. You must not fight against it, nor nourish the thought with intellectual discussions. You must neutralize the idea in midair, cutting its strength with a word of authority and decreeing the opposite spiritual truth with calm and absolute certainty. Diga isso em voz alta, ou repita em silêncio no seu coração. The divine presence is my source and supplies me now. Consider now the metaphor of your mind as the bridge of a large ocean liner sailing on the high seas. Your conscious mind represents the captain remaining on the surface, observing the horizon, evaluating storms, and issuing orders via the engine order telegraph. Your subconscious mind represents the sailors and engineers installed in the depths of the ship, inside the engine room. The crew working in the engine room does not see the ocean, does not evaluate the route, and never questions the wisdom of the orders received. If the captain, seized by a surge of panic or emotional blindness, issues a direct order to turn the rudder toward the rocks and accelerate the engines to the maximum, the sailors in the engine room will simply obey the instruction without hesitating. They will move the levers with precision, and the ship will be dashed against the stones. For years, you have acted as a blind and fearful captain on the bridge of your destiny. You have sent repeated orders of helplessness, scarcity, and suffering down to the engine room of your subconscious. And your invisible crew has fulfilled those orders with terrifying precision. The exact moment has arrived to assume the helm of your existence with the spiritual authority of one who has finally understood the laws of the mind. The infinite intelligence dwelling in your subconscious possesses unlimited resources, pathways unknown to the human intellect, and forces capable of moving material mountains. No economic crisis, no record of bankruptcies, and no inherited limitation can stand when you learn to issue silent commands of victory and peace from within. Poverty and stagnation are not a natural state, nor a blessed trial sent by the Creator to test your dignity. Poverty is a psychic pathology, a symptom of deep disconnection from the supreme source sustaining all cosmos. Nature manifests abundance in every detail. Forests overflow with life. Oceans display incalculable richness, and stars dot the firmament without any kind of rationing. Scarcity only gains strength within the narrow mold of the human mind that refuses to accept its divine inheritance. When you cleanse your subconscious of memories of pain, resentment, and smallness, the energy of prosperity circulates once again in your experience with the force of a spring tide. The right opportunities cross your path, profitable ideas emerge in the silence of your intuition, and your silent command converts into visible reality without you needing to use the brute force of your body. Refuse to live on crumbs when the Father's banquet has been served for you since the foundation of the world. The power to rewrite your biography and reprogram your deep mind is already deposited within you, awaiting only that you trigger the exact word in silence and align your thought with the feeling of realized victory. There is an exact word, a single 3-syllable word of power that, when whispered in the silence of your mind at the exact moment, possesses the force of a spiritual blade capable of instantly severing the bonds of your scarcity. The overwhelming majority of people spend their entire lives trying to transform their financial and emotional reality through physical fatigue, suffocating anxiety, and exhausting battles in the world of matter. They work to the limit of their strength, cry in the dark of their rooms before accumulated bills, and bend their knees in desperate pleas. However, upon opening their eyes to each new dawn, they find strictly the same locked reality, the same tight bank account, and the same feeling of helplessness in their chest. Dr. Joseph Murphy dedicated his entire life to teaching us that the answer to every one of your prayers already exists on the plane of infinite wisdom, even before your conscious mind can articulate the first request. The reason so many individuals spend years on end, imprisoned in scarcity, disease, or emotional despair, is that they pray from the vibration of the problem itself. They try to bargain with the Creator, offering their suffering and tears as if they were bargaining chips. However, the infinite intelligence dwelling in your subconscious is an immutable, loving, and absolutely impersonal law. It never responds to pain or the disordered supplication of doubt. It responds solely and exclusively to the law of your own mental acceptance. When you learn to silence your physical senses and apply scientific prayer with absolute serenity, the resistance of your intellect completely collapses. The knot of anxiety that tightened your chest dissolves like mist before the morning sun, and the invisible substance of life begins to mold external circumstances to reflect your internal victory. To pray scientifically is to align your soul with the perfect conclusion, resting in the unshakable feeling that what you decreed on the spiritual plane has already become an indisputable fact in matter. Approach this moment now with a calm, pacified heart, entirely purified of any resentment, fear, or haste. Disconnect from the demands of the day, drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, and feel the welcoming and protective presence of life covering every inch of your being. We are going to perform at this exact instant a deep spiritual intervention, a sacred decree of liberation and reprogramming to dissolve forever all blocks from your subconscious. Breathe deeply and slowly. Let the air renew your energy, and as you exhale, surrender all accumulated anxiety to the Supreme Mind. You are safe. The Divine Presence is in absolute command of your life. Feel the words of scientific prayer penetrate the fertile soil of your deep mind like a blessed rain of restoration. Absorb every spiritual command with the unshakable certainty that transformation has already begun in the invisible. The infinite intelligence dwelling in my subconscious mind is the creative source of the entire universe, and it now dissolves by the power of its silent presence all blocks, limiting beliefs, and patterns of doubt inscribed in my being. I recognize that the peace of God governs my mind, my home, and my affairs. All discord, fear, scarcity, and uncertainty are completely dissolved in the light of supreme truth. The wealth of the Creator flows into my reality in uninterrupted currents of opulence, peace, and prosperity. Money is a divine idea circulating freely in my experience, blessing my path and multiplying into infinite channels of utility and good. No barrier created by the physical world and no limitation imposed by men can halt the progress of my journey. Because infinite wisdom opens perfect pathways of victory where before there was only impossibility. I surrender my tomorrow, my finances, and my family to the unshakable protection of the divine mind. The peace that surpasses all understanding guards my heart, and I rest in the absolute certainty that everything is already accomplished on the plane of spiritual perfection. I give thanks for the liberation, internal clarity, and infinite wealth materializing now in my present reality. So it is, and so it shall be forever. Feel the authority of this decree echoing in the depths of your spirit. Doubt has been eradicated, and your subconscious has accepted the command of triumph. There is no force in the physical world capable of revoking the spiritual law you have just activated in your deep mind. From this exact second, categorically refuse to listen to the old lies of limitation or apprehension. When the noise of the external world tries to disturb your inner temple along your journey, remember that the illusion of scarcity has already been destroyed by the light of your silent command. Hold your head high and walk with the unshakable posture of one who recognizes their true identity as an heir of the universe. Diga isso em voz alta, ou repita em silêncio no seu coração. The peace of God governs my mind and blesses my life. You are not a limited or helpless being at the mercy of economic crises or world circumstances. You are the legitimate heir of divine wisdom, endowed with the supreme power to shape your reality through your subconscious mind. The blueprint of your victory has already been recorded in the depths of your being, and the supreme mind is aligning all events to deliver to you the sacred harvest of your faith. If this message brought serenity to your soul and awakened the light of your consciousness, subscribe now to the Subconscious Code channel and leave your like. By subscribing, you connect to this practical community of faith and strengthen your mind daily with the immutable laws of the Spirit. Before falling asleep tonight, as you lay your head on the pillow and feel your body relax completely, refuse any thought of concern or fear. Disconnect from the screens of the world, close your eyes in silence, place your right hand over the center of your chest, and gently repeat the divine word of power, like a lullaby for your subconscious. Wealth, wealth, wealth. Fall asleep, lulled by this feeling of realized victory. It is in the blessed silence of your sleep that your subconscious will work to build a radiant, prosperous, and deeply fulfilled tomorrow. Go in peace. The divine mind guards your rest and illuminates your path.